Hello. So welcome to Taurus season deck. So let's just get straight into it. I'm using Western astrology for the dates. So we've got Taurus, April 20th to May 20th, and the word for Taurus is I have. Their symbol is the bull, which means that they can be a bit bullheaded, but steadfast. Their planet is Venus, the planet of Aphrodite, of romance and pleasure. The second house is the house of personal finances, possessions, and value. So think the pentacle suit, material items, and wealth. We have Earth. They are grounded and tend to have an affinity for nature. They are a fixed sign, so they can be stubborn but loyal. The colors are greens and browns. The archetypes are the nature lover, the sensualist, and the pragmatist. The tarot card is the Hierophant. So you could see this as dependable and straightforward, but I also feel like they are like the Hierophants in that they prefer to be the ones to impart wisdom than to listen to others tell them what to do. The song, if I was going to pick a song, I guess I would choose Prima Donna by Marina. We'll talk more about their attributes as I go through the decks. I'll talk to you about it through the decks. So, as usual, I'm going to start with a deck that I don't have that I think is Taurian. So we've got the Wildwood Tarot. So once again, the connection to the earth and the fact that they are an earth sign and their affinity with nature makes me think of things like the Wildwood Tarot. This one is based on Celtic mythology. It's got quite a serious tone to it as well, but I was just looking at some decks online trying to think what would be another Taurian deck that I don't have, so I ended up settling on the Wildwood Tarot. So let's take a look at the ones that I've got, that I've selected. So here we go. I'm going to start with the Herb Crafter's Tarot. So this is a mass market deck. These are the backs. I edged mine in a green. And once again, it's a very nature-based deck. This one is almost also Epicurean in a way, and I feel like Taurians are massive foodies. They really like gastronomy. They like the senses, like indulging in their senses, and taste being one of them. So they really like to indulge in food, and this one definitely is my most foodie deck that I have. But like I said, it's also got a lot of greenery and a sense of home, because I also believe that Taurians are homebodies. But this is a fantastic deck, not only in the cards, which are beautiful, but in the guidebook. And they even have little things that you can do with the plant listed. So, you can actually make a tea and things of that nature. So I think this would be right up Taurian's alley. But the energy of this, like this gives grandma energy to me. So very nurturing, very comforting, safe. I think Taurians also really like a sense of security and stability in their lives, and this definitely has those energies for me. So because Taurus is ruled by Venus and Aphrodite, I decided to choose this as my, move those ones, Noisy Museum Tarot is the name of this deck, as my choices, because this is a deck that is filled with gorgeous artwork, and I always associate art with sort of beauty and sensuality, and even though it's on the darker side, it's still giving Aphrodite kind of vibes to me, like especially like cards like this, incredibly romantic. And this has that kind of tortured artist energy to it. But I felt like I chose this one specifically because I feel like the colors are quite earthy in it. But for all of the for the Venus quality, I felt like this encapsulates it pretty well. It's very sumptuous too for me, and kind of indulgent, extravagant and rich. And these are all things I associate with Taurus energy. So the Noisy Museum was my next choice. Okay, so once again, going back to the earthy nature type quality, I'm going with the 78 Tarot Ecological Edition, because I do believe that Taurians care about the environment and the planet and just like Gaia energy in general. And this one is a bit of an eco-warrior deck. It's one about being more conscientious of your effect on the world that you live on and trying to exist in a sort of symbiotic manner rather than a destructive one. It's also an indie deck and it's got the gold edges, so it's got a bit of the bling, it's got a bit of that luxury vibe. But there's also sort of like a toughness to this one in terms of its energy. But I think it's very pretty. You've got a breadth of artwork in there, so there's a lot of variety in terms of what you can look at. And some cards like have like an opulent kind of feeling to them, a bit maximalist. But this was my next choice, and it is the 78 Tarot Ecological. Okay, for my last tarot pick, I've gone with the Cozy Witch Tarot deck. So this is a mass market deck, and I've picked this one because Taurians love being cozy and comfortable and safe and secure and are very much homebodies from what I gather. So for me, I have a North Node in Taurus, so it's like the lifestyle that I should be emulating, like really tapping into the Taurus energy in this life. And it's one of creature comforts. And I'm like, yes, that's amazing. It's of rooting down, of being in really calm and beautiful environments. I think Taurians are very affected by the environment, and even though they can be outgoing and extroverted, they do need that time at home with themselves to re-energize and to feel grounded. I think feeling grounded is very important to them, and they do it best in their sacred space and their comfort, their safe haven, which is normally their home. I think their home would be filled with plants as well. I think they are definitely plant lovers and have a lot of greenery around them, even in their homes, and maybe just a lot of natural kind of elements and colors, more earthy tones. And this deck does definitely symbolize that, even in its color palette. And I think Taurians are big on the self-care, you know, and this is definitely a self-care deck for me. But it just has a very sort of down-to-earth, relaxed energy to it, which is why I chose it for Taurus season. So this is the Cozy Witch Tarot. Okay, so now we're going on to Oracle decks. So one of my choices is the Sacred Forest Oracle. So these are the backs. This has just a very autumnal kind of vibe to me, and I would probably associate autumn with Taurians. Well, in Australia, Taurus season is in autumn, smack bang in the middle, so that's where we're currently at, and that's why I've gone for this deck. But obviously it's also tied to nature and the forest, and I think Taurians would love a stroll through the woods. And there's also a lot of animals in there, and I would probably associate animal energy too with Taurians. But once again, there's also, even though it's got some interesting titles, I still feel like this is still another relaxing, calming, grounding deck. There's a softness to it. It's like hibernating. It's got like a hibernation kind of energy, like getting all cozy and situated and going within. So there's almost also a hermit vibe to it. But this was my next choice, and it is the Sacred Forest Oracle. Okay, so once again, we're heading back to that Venusian kind of energy, and I've chosen the Sensual Seed because, as I mentioned, Taurians are the sensualists. They have that hedonistic quality where they really want to indulge in all of the human senses. So they get a lot of pleasure from sensory things. And they like to indulge, perhaps, maybe a little too much sometimes, but yes, it's just something that gives them a lot of joy. And it's like that sense of also pampering themselves, you know, like treat yourself. I think Taurians are like the king and queens of treat yourself. And this one is very much based on being embodied, and I think that's a big thing of Taurus as well. But, you know, of sexuality and sensuality and self-care and self-love. This is all about that, so that's why I have chosen the Sensual Seed. So the next oracle I have is called the Home Oracle. Once again, it's tapping into that. So these are the backs, these are the edges, very pretty. That sense of place and home and stability and security and dependability. And also this one is a very focused deck, like they have a very clear message and keyword on the front of them. There's also some consistency within the deck in terms of the art style. And I think that Taurians really like consistency. I would say they're not really ones that enjoy sudden changes. They like routine, and because they are sort of dependable and reliable, they like that as well in their life, dependability and reliability. And this is one of those decks. It's also versatile. It goes with a lot of things, so you're getting a lot of use out of it. It's not a one-trick pony. But once again, because it's got that title of home, there's a great sense of it being tied to earth energy as well as animal. There's a few animals in here. But this was my next choice, and it's the Home Oracle. The next choice that I have is the Mushroom Oracle. So this is such a luxurious feeling deck, and Taurians are definitely about quality, 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 and this is a high quality deck. It's got this very sumptuous feel and look to it. It's filled with artwork. It's definitely hitting the Venusian again for me, but it's also got the earth element tied in because it is about mushrooms, and it's got the earthy colors too as well. There's also kind of an Epicurean energy to it, a Dionysus vibe, if you will, because it is based on food and mushrooms. Like truffles are some of the most expensive mushrooms, food items in the world. There's also a sense of frivolity and hedonism in terms of the scenes people are partaking in sort of festivals and feasts. They are indulging, if you will. Perhaps there's almost even a materialistic kind of vibe to it, because I think obviously that can be a shadow aspect of Taurians. They might end up maybe perhaps over-consuming in certain ways, overindulging. But this is also just a really beautiful deck, and, you know, with Venus as their ruling planet, they admire beauty. But this was my next choice, and it is the Mushroom Oracle. Okay, so here we have my final choice, and it is the Green Glyphs Oracle. So this is a high quality deck. It's absolutely stunning. It's so pretty. It's green, so it's hitting those vibes. It's got gold accents. It's also very simple and to the point, and I think that Taurians like that. They're very rational and focused, like very focused, and I think they want to get to the point, and this gets straight to the point. The guidebook is very simple. You just have a little bit there and then the keywords, so it doesn't faff about. But it's just stunning. It's just luxe, and it's also featuring a lot of earthy items, like home items. So it's hitting that craving too for the familiar, for the mundane, for the everyday, you know. But look at those figs, like how delicious and sumptuous do they look? But it's very, with the limited color palette, it's a very, I think, calming deck. And like I said, Taurians really like to always have that sort of calm environment and surrounding. So even with, like, there are a few magical, you know, kind of items in there, but it just feels very much like a down-to-earth deck. And it's like that whole thing of just finding magic in the mundane and, you know, pleasure in the everyday, simple joys, which I think Taurians are fantastic at. So this was the Green Glyphs Oracle, and these were all of my decks for Taurus season. I think now I'm going to pull one card for, you know, sort of like the energy of Taurus season, what's to come, and then I'll end this video. Okay, so we've pulled Awakening, which is actually one of their specific cards, so it's not part of the regular tarot. So I'm just going to read the message from the book. So we have Wild the Awakening. Awaken your soul, reconnect to Gaia. A beautiful fairy wakes up surrounded by spring flowers, snowdrops and crocuses, and animals associated with spring, rabbit, and hibernation, bears and bees. Butterflies are a symbol of transformation and metamorphosis. Above her head is a yin-yang made up of a vulture, toad, and pot of gold to represent wealth, prosperity, greed, and capitalism on one side, and flowers and foliage to symbolize nature and environmentalism on the other. The idea is that we can't favor one side or the other. We need to wake up, reform, and restore balance and harmony if we are to thrive as a species. All the power lies within you, the chance to make the world new again. It won't be easy, but you can do your part towards it. But not while you view Gaia as a separate entity. nature as an element you check in with as you travel past. Take time to reconnect, to be in nature, to appreciate the beauty around you, to indulge your senses, touch the trees, the grass, and the leaves, to smell the air, to feel it in your lungs. Stop and consider just how much Gaia supports you, how much you gain, how this planet gives you life and energy. Awaken the part of Gaia sleeping within you and let it heal you and inspire you to help heal the world. So that's the message for Taurus season. Until next time, stay wild, Star Child.